First of all, me just love the melodies, me just love music because music is life.
What really happened when reggae star Wayne collapsed on stage? Was it a staged moment or something far more complicated? This incident shook his fans and sparked fierce debates, challenging the image of an artist known for unwavering principles and a strict lifestyle. But there's much more beneath the surface of that controversy. A man shaped by his upbringing, convictions, and a music career built on authenticity. What you think you know about Wayne might not be the whole story at all. The collapse controversy. In the early stage of Wayne's rising career, a dramatic moment caught everyone's attention. He suddenly collapsed on stage during a live performance. The incident ignited a wave of speculation and whispers online. Some accused him of faking the fainting spell, suggesting it was a stunt aimed at gaining sympathy or distracting from something else. This claim shook the foundation of his public image, especially given his reputation as a man with strong principles and a strict lifestyle. Fans and critics alike scrambled for answers, questioning whether the collapse was genuine or orchestrated. Despite the swirling rumors, Wayne never shied away from addressing these accusations directly. When an interviewer confronted him with the claim that his collapse was a lie, instead of dodging the question, he confronted his accusers head-on. He challenged anyone doubting him to provide real evidence, refusing to let baseless rumors define his narrative. He framed the incident as an attack designed to discredit his commitment to a plant-based vegan lifestyle, suggesting that critics opposed to his way of living used the fainting as a tool against him. His defiant response turned the conversation into something larger than just a health scare. It became a battle over his credibility and beliefs. This public dispute over the collapse kind of added layers to Wayne's story, raising questions about the pressures he faced as an artist anchored deeply in his own values. People started wondering if his strict lifestyle was sustainable under the rigorous demands of performance and touring, like really sustainable. Was the collapse a signal of physical strain connected to his dietary pattern? Or was it just a moment of dehydration or exhaustion? You know, something simple that got blown up. For years, the truth stayed tangled in speculation and conspiracy, so that fainting episode turned into a defining yet mysterious moment in his career. What stayed clear, though, is that this controversy brought out the tension between his polished public image and the harsher realities behind the scenes. Fans who admired his righteousness found their belief stressed, while skeptics felt sort of vindicated by their suspicions. Public opinion split, but it didn't end up defining Wayne completely. Instead, it opened a door to look at who he is beyond headlines and rumors. A man whose life and music are rooted in something more complex than people assumed. Questions about his physical endurance and moral steadiness rose up, but the details about the collapse and the person behind it really ask for a closer look at where he comes from. His background, early life, and the environment that formed him offer clues for understanding this pivotal moment, without jumping to conclusions instantly. Before the full explanation shows up, it helps to notice how his origins contributed to his resilience, and why that episode challenged more than just his health, but the foundation of his identity too. The story of Wayne's life begins in a modest Jamaican community, where lessons run through everything he represents now. Transitioning from this ordeal, his early years reveal a blend of influences bridging Jamaica's rural and urban worlds. These experiences planted the seeds for both his musical voice and personal convictions. Roots and early influences. Cliff Roy Taylor, known to the world as Wayne, was born on August 6, 1980, in Portmore, Jamaica, a working-class township balancing the pulse of city life with the calm of nearby mountains. His upbringing was far from ordinary. He spent his childhood shuttling between two contrasting worlds, the bustling streets of Portmore and the peaceful rural landscapes in St. Catherine Parish. This unique blend gave him a deep understanding of the struggles faced by both city dwellers and mountain villagers, a duality that would later color his songwriting with authentic empathy. Music surrounded him from a young age, thanks largely to his aunt and her husband, acclaimed keyboardist Ansel Collins. This household was a vibrant hub of practice sessions and rehearsals, immersing young Cliff Roy in the building blocks of music from a very early age. Watching a seasoned musician craft songs and melodies became his unofficial training ground, sparking an instinct for sound and rhythm that grew stronger year after year. At just 7 years old, he was already experimenting with creating beats and lyrics, far before his name would become known outside his home. His musical education wasn't just about instruments, it was also about understanding life's rhythms. Spending time in both mountain and city environments gave him a perspective rare among his peers. He later credited this experience with allowing his songs to resonate with diverse Jamaican audiences without sounding forced or out of place. This ability to connect deeply with varied communities became his signature style, grounded in the realities of ordinary struggle. Education played a vital role in shaping his young mind. At Greater Portmore High School, he joined a local group called Vibes Machine, a crew of singers and DJs honing their craft at local clubs and parties. These early performances sharpened his timing, stage presence, and ability to read audiences, skills he relied on throughout his career. One night, when the rest of his group was delayed, he stepped onto the stage alone and carried the entire set by himself. That night's enthusiastic crowd reaction lit a fire in him to pursue a solo career rather than remain inside a group dynamic. Writing used to be like a mostly private habit. He kept notebooks full of bits of lyrics and little ideas from those school days, and sure, he'd recite them over and over, memorizing them too just to lock the words in his head. Because he wanted every message to come out true, he didn't usually need written prompts while performing. That careful routine, plus the memorization discipline, ended up being the backbone of how he commands the stage. Wayne's first recorded session happened in a modest studio close to his area, handled by an engineer with the nickname Andrew Zion. The whole vibe felt calm and slow in a good way, like everything had time. It helped those rough verses turn into polished pieces, ready to reach people. That early crew and that patient support system mattered a lot. It gave him a real start, so his talent could grow past local shows and into actual recorded music. His upbringing wasn't only about music, it was also full of lessons about resilience. The contrast between quiet rural life and the tougher urban realities shaped him, trained him to move between different worlds with integrity and some stubborn steadiness. Those moments shaped more than his lyrics, though. They molded the personal convictions that later guided many of his choices. If you want to really understand Wayne, you have to look at where he comes from. His roots are tangled up with his message, like they're one thing. So he becomes a vessel, carrying tones and concerns that often stay unheard in mainstream reggae. And from that deep bass, his breakthrough moment was just waiting to unfold. As his early life rawness evolved into a powerful voice, his breakthrough came with a song that captured social realities rarely spoken about with such directness and heart. Breakthrough and Message. In the summer of 2004, Wayne released the song that would launch his international career, Can't Satisfy Her. Unlike many dancehall hits focused on partying or bravado, this track told a haunting story about a young woman trapped in cycles of desperation, exploited by transactional relationships that brought disease and hopelessness. The song's stark honesty and social awareness instantly set it apart in the reggae landscape. Can't Satisfy Her wasn't just a catchy tune. It was a heartfelt reaction to what Wayne witnessed firsthand in his community. Watching young women forced into dangerous lifestyles sparked a deep disturbance in him, one he could only address through music. His lyrics carried genuine compassion, expressing love for the people and concern for the empresses of his community rather than judgment or condemnation. When asked if this was his true first hit, he confirmed it was the track that introduced him to the wider world, even though another song, Living in Love, predated it. Both songs found a home on his debut album, but it was Can't Satisfy Her that became his signature entry point. This single even made history as the first cultural reggae song added to New York's Hot 97 playlist, a station primarily known for hip-hop, in addition to charting on Billboard's hip-hop and R&B rankings. Following this success, Iwayne signed with VP Records, releasing his debut album, Lava Ground, in 2005. The album earned praise for returning reggae music to its conscious roots, when much of the genre leaned toward party-filled dancehall vibes. Anchored by Can't Satisfy Her and Living in Love, the album cemented his name internationally and positioned him as a new face of conscious reggae. His first memory of hearing his song on the radio came through the efforts of producer Idre, also known as Fire Dre, who got the record airtime. For Iwayne, that moment was pure validation, the first concrete sign that years of quiet work and grinding were finally paying off. There was no overnight fame, just steady growth fueled by authenticity and consistent effort. International touring came quickly, with his first show outside Jamaica in Barbados, alongside the established artist Sugar Minott. Despite nerves, the experience was a positive one that showed he was ready to take his message beyond Jamaica's shores. These early performances helped build a base that would support decades of festival appearances and global recognition. His follow-up project, Book of Life, released in 2007, reinforced his commitment to conscious themes. The album focused on ecology, discipline, and spiritual responsibility, pushing back against dancehall trends dominated by violence and negativity. Songs like Jealousy and Abuse tackled domestic violence, while other tracks addressed global division through politics and religion. This breakthrough period established Iwayne not just as an entertainer, but as a respected voice advocating for change through music. His ability to weave personal experience with larger social issues gave his art depth, earning him a loyal following that valued substance over fleeting popularity. As his message grew louder, so did the role of his faith and personal beliefs, which shaped many of the decisions that some saw as controversial. The resolve seen in his music naturally connects to a deeper foundation rooted in his faith and lifestyle choices. Rastafarian beliefs and lifestyle. Iwayne's music and public image are deeply rooted in his Rastafarian faith, which shapes his views on spirituality, morality, and everyday life. Over the years, he has taken positions that sparked debate, but supporters point to one defining trait: consistency. Whether on stage or off, he strives to live according to the same principles he promotes in his music. His beliefs influence how he approaches relationships, personal conduct, and social issues. Iwayne often speaks about self-discipline, respect, and responsibility, encouraging people to live with purpose rather than simply follow modern trends. While critics sometimes view these positions as overly rigid, he sees them as a reflection of his spiritual convictions. His faith also kinda guided how he switched into a plant-based kind of way of life. Instead of doing some sudden thing, he slowly moved away from meat, and then he leaned into a diet that is centered on fruits, vegetables, and other natural foods. In his mind, this is tied to a larger commitment, like staying healthy and living in sync with nature. After his onstage collapse, some critics came in hot and blamed his diet, but Iwayne was quick, and he insisted it was dehydration, not nutrition, that did it. Not only personal routine, but his beliefs also color how he thinks about charity and organized religion. He has argued that feeding the hungry should come first, ahead of putting money into church buildings. That stance caused plenty of backlash. Yet he treats it like it's really about direct help for the people right in the community. And he has never really backed down from stating opinions that bump into the usual mindset. Even in the music side, the same principles show up. Iwayne is pretty selective about collaborations. He avoids working with partners that clash with his values, even if those deals could come with bigger commercial wins. For him, it is message over marketability, every time. His supporters see him as this rare example of an artist where his actions match his words. Whether the topic is faith, health, community, or the actual music itself, Wayne stays steered by the same moral compass. That constant devotion has brought him both criticism and admiration, but it still sits at the core of understanding the person behind the tracks. Integrity's cost often weighs heaviest where business and creativity meet, a reality Wayne knows well. Career challenges and integrity. Wayne's career has never been built around chasing trends. From the beginning, he chose to protect his message, even when that decision created tension with the wider reggae and dancehall industry. While more commercial artists leaned toward party anthems, explicit lyrics, and crossover sounds, Wayne stayed focused on culture, spirituality, and conscious themes. That commitment also shaped the way he approached collaborations. He has been selective about working with artists whose music conflicts with his values, even if partnering with bigger names could have increased his exposure. For Wayne, commercial success was never worth compromising the message that defined his identity. Some believe this approach limited his mainstream reach, but it also strengthened the loyalty of listeners who respected his consistency. The business side of music created another challenge. Early in his career, Wayne encountered difficult lessons involving contracts, money, and control over his work. Like many young artists, he had to learn that talent alone was not enough. Understanding agreements, protecting ownership, and paying attention to the fine print became essential parts of surviving the industry. Instead of allowing those setbacks to derail him, Wayne used them as lessons. Over time, he became more cautious, disciplined, and aware of the pressures surrounding artists. He has often approached his struggles with gratitude, viewing hardship as something that strengthened his character rather than destroyed his ambitions. That discipline extends beyond business. Fame, money, and commercial opportunities have never appeared to outweigh his personal beliefs. His decisions reflect a moral framework that influences his lyrics, lifestyle, collaborations, and career direction. As reggae and dancehall continue to evolve, Wayne remains firmly connected to the conscious roots tradition. That path may not have produced the same level of mainstream celebrity enjoyed by some of his peers, but it has earned him lasting respect and a dedicated international audience. Ultimately, Wayne's career shows that success can be measured in more than money or chart positions. His reputation was built through decades of choosing principle over popularity. He may have sacrificed certain opportunities along the way, but he protected something harder to regain once lost: his artistic identity. Choosing to stand firm often means paying a price, yet for Wayne, it is the only way forward. Legacy and ongoing impact. Wayne's career stands as a testament to conviction in an industry constantly shaped by trends and commercial pressure. More than 2 decades after emerging on the reggae scene, he continues to maintain a loyal international following, appearing at festivals across the Caribbean, Europe, and North America. His lasting appeal comes from something increasingly rare: consistency. Rather than chasing crossover pop success, Wayne built his career around roots reggae, spirituality, culture, and conscious messaging. That choice may have limited his mainstream exposure, but it strengthened his reputation among listeners who value authenticity. While other artists adapted their sound for wider commercial appeal, Wayne largely remained committed to the principles that defined him from the beginning. His influence goes way beyond record sales or streaming stats. Through tracks built around social awareness, morality, Rastafarian convictions, and that cultural pride thing, he ended up in a generation that helped keep conscious reggae breathing, even when more polished dancehall styles were grabbing most of the public attention. And yeah, the same mindset seems to follow him off the stage too. Wayne has kept his Rastafarian beliefs out in the open, plus a plant-based diet and a whole set of personal values, even when some of his takes have created controversy. For the people who back him, that steady consistency makes him feel more credible, because the message in his music looks really tied to the life he actually chooses. His whole journey also kind of shows the price of not bending. Sticking to one particular message can translate into fewer mainstream chances, less commercial visibility, and more scrutiny than most artists get. Still, Wayne seems to have accepted those trade-offs for something tougher to copy: long-term respect. In the end, his legacy isn't just about where he charted or whether the numbers made money fast. It's more about guarding a voice that comes from belief, culture, and purpose. In a musical world that never slows down, Wayne stays recognizable, mainly because he refused to adjust just to fit in. Wayne's story is one of conviction, resilience, and staying true in a changing world. From controversy to legacy, his journey shows the power of principled artistry. If you found this insight compelling, please like and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories behind the music. Your support helps keep these important voices heard. And if you're curious about another artist whose journey challenged expectations and left a lasting mark on music history, click the video appearing on your screen right now. You may discover a story even more surprising than this one.